Hello again. I wonder how many viewers in Britain remember the fuss that was made when Boris Johnson wrote in the Daily Telegraph in 2002 that the Queen has come to love the Commonwealth partly because it supplies her with regular cheering crowds of flag-waving piccaninnies. How outraged many white liberals were to read this. It recalled to mind, of course, the phrase which Enoch Powell had used in his 1968 Rivers of Blood speech when he spoke of wide-grinning piccaninnies. Shocking. Only imagine then my surprise when I was using the Google search engine this morning and found that the picture above the search bar, the so-called Google Doodle, was about a Jamaican woman called Louise Bennett Coverley who died a few years ago. Having as I do a particular interest in languages, I was already aware of her, but clicking on the picture takes one to the Wikipedia article about her. She did a great deal to promote the official acceptance of patois in Jamaica, which is a dialect of English. Some people are unkind enough to call it broken English. Others talk about speaking dialect. Bennett Coverley thought that patois was a vital part of Jamaican culture and that it enabled children to connect with their heritage. As she put it, and this is quoted in the Wikipedia article, "The Pickney dem learned the same thing that belonged to them." This is of course the plural form of the patois word for child, that is to say, pickney. Just to explain this, in standard English we usually form plurals either by adding an S to the end of the word or altering its structure in some way. Child becomes children, man becomes men. In Jamaican patois, a plural pronoun is instead added to the end of the word. So we say de pickney to signify one child and de pickney dem to signify or indicate a number of children. In the same way, a man, but more than one, becomes de man dem. But that word pickney for child sounds familiar. It is, of course, an abbreviated form of piccaninny, the word which got Boris Johnson into such hot water. In fact, of course, it's not a racial slur at all, but simply the word used for child in Jamaica and many other Caribbean islands and indeed elsewhere in the world. Parts of Africa. There's nothing offensive about either pickney or piccaninny. A racial slur is a term designed to insult others on the basis of race, ethnicity or nationality. So it is that the infamous N-word was devised by white people as a derogatory term for black people. It is very properly called a racial slur. Piccaninny or pickney, though, is quite a different case. It's a corruption of the Portuguese word pequenino, meaning very small. It's a pidgin word which was actually adopted by black people themselves to describe their children. To this day, even in Britain, I know Jamaicans who will talk of the pickney dem. It's not a racial slur at all. It's also current in Africa in a slightly different form. In Ghana and Nigeria, a popular word for a child is piggin, which is also derived from the Portuguese. This is, of course, a classic case of white liberals wishing to feel guilty about something or to denounce somebody for racism or failing, at the same time failing spectacularly in the attempt. To accuse either Enoch Powell or Boris Johnson of racism for using this word is quite mad. Of course, Google and YouTube are fanatically keen on diversity, which explains why the latest Google Doodle links to an obscure Jamaican woman who died years ago. But I bet they didn't realise when they did this that it would lead to the word piccaninny.